Okay, so your posture, how you communicate, all of that is fine. You don't have trouble with uh, taking ideas and then putting them in a string. You don't have trouble with them. You should read more about options and even the GST thing, especially because, see, let's say if they pick on the options thing, you're able to manage it well. At least I think he managed it well, right? Because I've learned that in my MBA, but like finance is not one of my strong suit. So like, okay, halfway there, halfway here. So I heard and then I recollected a lot of stuff and then said, okay, it sounds reasonable, right? But the GST part, you should be more clear at. Even the example, you picked two examples and both of them were wrong, if you know.
Yes.
The second example, you should have picked somewhere where you say, okay, I am selling paper and he's selling books.
Okay.
Right? So he sells the book for $200. He gets some money as a tax and then he gives it to the government.
Yes.
But for buying the paper, he would have paid some tax to me.
To the government on your behalf.
On my behalf.
You have to
so you get back that. So
input tax creditors
between companies, if you're not wrong.
GST is supposed to be for value added.
Yes.
Not for the price. So what happens is I buy something for $160, all my raw materials,
yes,
create something and then sell it for 200.
Okay.
So I should be technically paying GST for 40. But the government has no basis of doing this.
Yes.
So what they collect GST for 200.
Okay.
All the guys who have supplied to me, they have paid their individual GSTs amounting to a GST equivalent of this 160.
Yes.
When I pay my GST, I'll say I'm paying for this 200, but tell you what, for this 160, I have credit with me. Please subtract that. That's the idea. So GST is for value added. That's a big proposition of GST. So everything that goes in the whole, so the guys who supplied to me to that 160, their raw material cost could have been 100.
Yeah.
So he'll do the same process that I'm doing.
Yes.
So each person pays for the overall and gets subtracted for the thing remaining. So what you're getting as credit, what you're tallying off, is effectively matching what he paid as to what you are claiming has already been paid on your behalf.
Yes.
And then matching these two and then subtracting that from your liability. Yes. So you should have whatever is your job, you should have that clarity.
Yes.
So that is important. What else?
See, the point is, a lot of times they're going to pick on every bit of, every abbreviation, every sliver of jargon. And if you say option, they'll ask you what is an option, define an option. If you say, I like trading, what is trading? If you say, you just put and call, what is put, what is call? So I work with GST reconciliation, so therefore ITC gets offset, what is ITC? So every sentence you're speaking, this is any preparation for an interview is a major review of a lot of incomplete things that are sitting in our mind, which you just take for granted and move ahead. But in the interview, you're gonna write down your answer or record your answer and say, okay, I just said I do GST reconciliation. What is GST? What is reconciliation? I make sure that the ITC credit is cancelled out. What is ITC credit? I make sure that this and that tally. How? What? Who's paying this? Who's paying that? How does the system know? That's why they always ask for GST bill.
Yes.
So what does that mean? It's like I am saying this guy supplied to me and he paid a GST of, or in that transaction between us we paid a 6,000 GST to give it to the government. Now I have a 9,000 GST, subtract the 6,000. So his GST has to be matched to yours. Yes. So when that transaction is being made, his GST number and yours have to sit in that system. That's your GST GR1 or 2 or whatever that is. So you need to have those details. If you're saying reconcile, how is it reconciling? Why is the GST bill important? Why is the general bill insufficient? Only if you have a GST bill, does it mean that guy has earmarked that portion of his GST paid under your GST number? Otherwise, there's no way the system can know to reconcile and cancel it out. So every statement you make, you've got to be very clear. So every claim you put there, sometimes you get very comfortable with abbreviations and jargon, without completely processing it. So you'll have to have a 0 to N understanding of every bit, every abbreviation, every jargon you throw there. So NPA, what is an NPA? Suppose in the banking sector, you say the NPA level is in India is carried. What is NPA? Non-performing assets. So what is non-performing asset? An asset that is not performing. What is non-performing asset? Anyone knows what is a non-performing asset? What is a non-performing asset? We're all used to listening to NPAs are high. And then we see Google and find out what an NPA is, which is a non-performing asset. So that definition, if you're saying NPA, and they're going to ask you what is an NPA. Immediately your answer is non-performing asset, which is potato. Right? So what is a non-performing asset? You have to go dig deep and find it. Every sentence, every word, every phrase, every abbreviation, every acronym you throw there, you have to dig down and then say what does it really mean. And to the extent possible, you have to get the layman approach to defining. Your prime number, composite number sequence is good. So I was randomly putting pointers and hoping that you'll grab one of those and get to the answer. He said, look, now I got it, which is correct. So you're processing and then trying. It was clear that you didn't know before. Yes. It was clear that you were processing them. And you're saying applied math is something that you enjoy, which I find unusual. But you're defending it well. So that's all right. But so that happens. So they might tell you like math, you should stay as far away from finance as possible. Then your defense is, look, I like the theoretical, logical, conceptual part, but I like the real analytical applied mathematics part also. Yes. So I like using analytical tools to crunch data and find numbers. So I might love solving and looking at the nth proof of Pythagoras theorem and marveling at it. But if you give me 3 data chains and ask me to find correlation regression and then see what is good and when it has worked and when it's not worked, I like that also. If you give me a giant mathematical tool like an SPSS or some MATLAB or whatever tool you've used, and I have to crunch data and find out if there are patterns sitting there, that thrills me as well. So I like both. So and because I like this and I like the framework of using mathematical tools too, I think that's why I started liking option trading. And so from what you have learned in option trading to what is in finance, it's a huge leap. So you'll have to fine tune that answer. Okay. Let's take it on offline and then discuss it. That is a very specific.
I have one more question. How prudent is it to tell them I am doing an MBA because I want to do options trading?
Correct. So basically you're putting all your eggs into that one basket. So they can go to town on options trading and set themselves out to say, you know jack about this, how are you taking this decision? So you'll have to know what a straddle is, what a triangle is, what is volatility, what is covariance, how covariance as a metric matters when you're doing price, how Black-Scholes work and how Black-Scholes is useless. All of that. So you need to know a lot about option trading, theoretically and practically. So if you do a lot of reading theoretically, they'll tell you all this is humbug because the market says otherwise. Yes. So you'll have to know that a lot of the theoretical thing on options count for nothing on a trading desk. I'm assuming you know that. On a trading desk, it's demand supply, nothing else. So the covariance is an academic variable, and that's a critical driver for Black-Scholes. Yeah. That means nothing on a trading desk. And so the trading desk punters they are doing demand supply guys, and guy who is punting not with the variance in mind, but with the chance that it will go up or go down. Okay. Not the number, but what he evaluates. So the demand supply will drive the trading risk. The investment call will drive the investor's idea of having options either way. Yes. So you'll have to know that, and you'll have to know a lot of theory. Okay. What he's effectively saying is, if you're putting your MBA decision on one narrow thing, then you need to know everything about it and be able to defend yourself. Or you're better off saying, I've been exposed to this, I'm working with a chartered accountant's firm, I like math and I see math being applied here. I like analytical math, applied mathematics. I like working with mathematical tools. And I'm enjoying the aspect of thinking about options and stock prices and data and shares and all that. And I'm liking the parts of the financial world that I've been exposed to chartered accountant. I think I'm fascinated by this. I'd like to learn more about options and broadly more about finance as well. I think that's something that'll interest me, and therefore I'm curious to go there. So that's you're hedging your bet. Yes. Saying, look, it's
slightly broadening. Yes, broadening the scope.
So you can go towards that.
If you mention statistics, they can again ask you a lot on what is P, Z value, T value, F, all of that. What is regression? What is a good value of correlation? Yes. And then how do you define what is the number based on which you say do you do T test or Z test? Okay. What do you?
I'm not sure about that.
Okay. As in because they do their research on an everyday basis. As in research is their bread and butter. Yes. They teach because the government tells me also I have to teach to keep the money flowing in. So they do that. But the research is their bread and butter in some sense. Yes. So they will do this Z test, T test, chi-square, all of this day in and day out. So if you mention statistics even in passing, they might hold on to it and latch on to it, and then continue the entire conversation on that.
Okay.
Do the really basic parts also really well.
Yes.
Type 1 error, type 2 error, alpha error, beta error, hypothesis testing, confidence interval, the whole shebang. So
Yes.
the big overlap between your math and their math is going to be probability and statistics.
Yes.
So they can go to town with it, either the probability end or the statistics end. Make sure you're completely geared for that. If there is a finance or operations professor sitting there, they'll know their stats inside out. They'll want to talk about that because you're coming there as a math student. They cannot talk stats with anybody else.
Yes.
And they'll tell themselves, I'm going to his area of strength and having a discussion. So if it goes to statistics, you should nail it.
Okay.
Be geared for it.
Thank you.